All right. Happy New Year's Eve. Happy New Year's Eve, everybody. And welcome to the last Pop Culture Power of 2024. I am your host, Crystal XO. And first of all, I just want to thank you guys for being such an amazing YouTube family. We have such a good time here. I love checking in with you guys, be it Pop Culture Power or my dating diaries with Scorpio Mo or relationship recaps, or even just the things that I share with you guys on a regular basis. This channel means so much to me. And I just want to thank you all for being such amazing subscribers and viewers all year round. It's really appreciated more than you know. I've had the pleasure of meeting some of you in person. Definitely look forward to doing more of that in 2025. So I want to start out on a positive note. We're going to recap some of the biggest stories or some of the things that I feel have been the most breaking, I guess, stories or, pieces of drama that we've enjoyed specifically from some of our favorite shows over 2024. But first, I want to start on a positive note, as always, because that's what we do here. If you are not a subscriber, I would encourage you to go ahead and subscribe because we try to make sure that you get a little bit of entertainment. We do a little bit of laughter, but then also you leave with something that makes you better or something to think about to push you into a better place. And so I wanted to start with this. There was a post that I saw from Deion Sanders, who I absolutely love. I had the honor of working for his charity years ago. I did some work for one of his charity events here with young men, and I had the chance to, see him speak and work with his team. And he is really the real deal. I will say that from someone that has worked with a lot of people and seen people that do the fake stuff for television cameras and things like that, and people that are actually doing the work. We were actually for like 3 or 4 days with kids that were not cameras around. Deion or Coach Sanders, Coach Prime is the real deal. And so I wanted to start tonight's Pop Culture Power with a quote from him to end this year. He says, "Get up and let's go. Believe it's your time. This is your year, your season, and your time to soar as an eagle soars high above the mess that has stressed you out over the years. Leave everything you don't want or need behind and walk into new beginnings with purpose." And so that is what I wanted to start this last Pop Culture Power for 2024. I believe that we all have a choice in how we receive what comes into our lives. And I am personally dealing with things, learning how to focus on the positive, be committed to the positive, let the negative fall off. And, if you have something that you want to accomplish, and know that this is your year and that you can make it happen. So with that out the way, let's get into the drama. I think probably most people would agree that the biggest story of 2024 has been surviving Diddy, or basically the drama that we've seen happen to Diddy over the last, I don't know, it's been like a little over a year. It started last year, last December, and it just continued this year. It got really, really bad with the video from Cassie, being the video of him basically physically abusing Cassie was released, and it just took over trending topics, and I believe that it's going to continue to do that in 2025. We do know that the initial court date is set for the first week of May. So, leading up to that, there's going to be a lot of speculation. I wrote this article, which was "Surviving R. Kelly Provides the Perfect Blueprint for a Potential Surviving Diddy." And the thing about that article, I wrote that over a year ago, but I wrote it for Collider. But the thing about it is I kind of saw this plan being set when Surviving R. Kelly came out. You guys know it was during COVID and everyone was sitting down. But without that documentary, without that project, I don't believe that R. Kelly would be in jail. It brought attention to it because once you put something out for public consumption, the authorities can't ignore it. They have to address it because people become very irate. Another example is when we saw the documentary for Britney Spears, when that was released, and her fans had an outcry over the conservatorship that her father had in place, it was removed. Now, personally, I'm of the mindset that the conservatorship needs to be reapplied, because once we see Britney just in her full, doing her thing, it's clear to us that there were issues and that her father knew more than the fans did. But point being is, once you put something out for the court of public opinion, and people respond, then it makes it very difficult to sweep things under the rug, or to keep moving on, at like nothing ever happened, at the status quo. And so I do believe that after that video was released, showing the brutality of Diddy's physical attack on Cassie, it's going to make it very difficult for him to not have to suffer some type of consequence. The fact that he's actually been in jail all this time and was not able to get bail. You guys know that he has tried to get bail on 3 different occasions as of right now. From what I'm hearing, he's going to go back up. They have another, they're doing another plea for bail. But the fact that he's been in jail all this time is really surprising to me, because at one point in time, I don't think there was anyone more powerful in the industry than Diddy and, of course, Jay-Z. And we know that Jay-Z is going through his issues right now. It's definitely not at the same level. A lot of people are speculating that it could continue on. I don't really, that situation is a lot different, at least from what we see right now. And from what I see with the accuser, the woman that's accusing him, after listening to her audio, I just don't see that being able to stand. But I think, in my opinion, the most harmful evidence against Diddy was that video of him, because when you see something, it's hard to just act like, oh, no, she was fine. No, we saw him. That was that really hurt him. And then, of course, all this stuff happening with the baby oil and just all these, I think there's over like 1,000 lawsuits. All of them, of course, are not legitimate, but I mean, if you have 1,000 out of that, there's got to be a percentage that are true. So anyway, I think that's the biggest story of 2024. We covered it because, first, like I said, it was the biggest story, and I did write about it. Last thing I'll say about that, we know that 50 Cent is the biggest troll on social media. I will say I am a fan, because first of all, I love the fact that he handles business, and his contributions to entertainment, from music to film to television, are undeniable. And he's a big part of pop culture. He's also a voice. He's a person that's not afraid to speak his mind. He goes against the grain. So, a lot of times with celebrities, there's this type of groupthink. And so everybody kind of just goes along, even if they don't necessarily agree with it. But 50 Cent is not that dude. He is definitely a leader. He is definitely someone that has his own mind and has his own way of doing things. And he's funny. So the fact that he is actually executive producing the Diddy documentary is going to be really interesting this year. I do know that it was underway. I talked to some of the producers, and they've interviewed some people that you probably would not expect to be a part of it. People that are part of the Bad Boy family that you would never expect to be coming out and sharing their story. So we just know, as we wrap 2024, that Diddy is going to continue to be a big story in 2025. Now moving on to our reality shows, because that's really what we do here on Pop Culture Power, is talk about all the different reality shows and everything that all the different characters that we get a chance to meet through reality. As we close out the year, we know that Peter Thomas from Real Housewives of Atlanta, that's how most of you met Peter. There he is with his ex-wife, supermodel Cynthia Bailey. They have been divorced for quite a while. In fact, Cynthia had a whole nother marriage and divorce after their union. But I think most people got a chance to meet Peter through his time on Real Housewives of Atlanta as Cynthia's husband. I actually met Peter because Peter and his brother used to throw a music conference. They also had a club here in Atlanta. And of course, they had Bar One here in Atlanta. But I met him years ago when I was a music publicist, and I had artists that signed up for his conference. And that's all I'll say about that. But what what we do know is that it's been announced that Peter will have to serve an 18-month prison sentence for tax evasion, because of his dealings with the restaurant in Charlotte. Now, what's interesting is before this came through, Peter had kind of warned, his, I don't know if they're fans or his audience, right? Peter had warned his audience, his social media audience, that this could be a potential. He started doing a little bit of damage control earlier this year. But what we also have recently learned is that Peter was working on a television show. And so he had signed on to do a reality show that would talk about his dealing, his issues with court, and the fact that he had some, alleged bad business dealings. There were a lot of employees, disgruntled employees, and things like that. Also, his relationship, he was dating, I'm sure he was dating, he enjoys the ladies, as most successful men do. And then also his relationships with other reality stars. We know that he has a lot of people here in Atlanta that he has close relationships with. So I'm gonna ask you guys, were you guys interested in a Peter Thomas reality show? I don't know that I would see Peter as the main character, but I also don't know who all was going to be a part of that. We did see Peter pop up on Real Housewives of Potomac. You guys remember that? Mia, and that is definitely not the person that you want to have dealings with, but Mia, Mia had Peter in a couple of scenes, and Wendy, which is, Peter, I guess, had met with Wendy about doing a restaurant or establishment. I know Wendy is glad and thanking her lucky stars that she did not get into a business bed with Peter. But Mia was supposed to be friends with Peter, which I'm not going to say anything about that. But I don't know if I would have wanted to just watch pure Peter, just pure Peter. But if he had some women around him, I think he would have been a great character, like he was on Real Housewives of Atlanta. If you have him on a show, if he had been able to be like a regular on like a supporting cast member of Potomac, that would have made sense. Or even one of Carlos King's, I think Peter would have been great for like Love and Marriage DC, like a supporting cast, not like, a principal character, depending on who he's dating. And I'm sure he would have no problem dating. Peter's a nice looking older man. He's a nice looking gentleman. I think he definitely qualifies as a silver fox. But he's, I don't know if I would want to see just pure Peter. That would be interesting. Again, I'm sure Wendy is excited that she did not go down that road. I'm sure Cynthia is happy that she, disentangled herself from the mess that was Peter with his business dealings. Now, I don't know if when he gets out of prison, he will come back and try to do reality. Probably, knowing Peter, probably. Because I think once people have been bitten by the reality bug, they cannot shake it. They want more. They want more. They want to be, in the public eye. They love the attention and they get addicted to it. And so he probably will. We know that Apollo, who spent some time in prison, has managed to pop up on several shows. In fact, he has popped up on Real Housewives of Atlanta. No, he popped up on Married to Medicine with Phaedra, meeting Phaedra, which was ironic. It's just very weird to me. But yeah, I definitely could see Peter coming back. He's made some, he's narrated his story a little bit on his social media platform. And so I definitely look forward to seeing Peter 18 months from now. I don't know if that deal will still be on the table for him to do reality, but I'm sure we haven't seen the last of Peter Thomas. He's been in the game for a long time, and I'm sure he's not going to let anything like a little 18-month prison sentence stop him. So look out for Peter, I'm sure, coming to us in about 18 months. All right. Moving on, on a nicer note, I would like to say that my favorite documentary this year was positive. It was the Megan Thee Stallion documentary, which basically was her in her own words. It definitely did humanize her. We all know that there was a lot of drama with Megan and this court case that she had against Tory Lanez. I still think that there's a lot that we don't know, a lot of that people just, the story just doesn't sound believable the way it did. Even after watching the documentary and enjoying it, and I, definitely enjoyed the fact that we were able to get to know Megan a little bit better. She's definitely one of the biggest and most influential hip hop artists of her time. Which is right now. She's got brand deals. She's part of the Super Bowl. I mean, she's everywhere. But the story of her with Tory Lanez, even in the documentary, there's a lot of things that just didn't make sense. She lost the best friend. She also lost a lot of fans, I think, did not like how she handled the situation. What I took away from the documentary the most is that Megan is, any child that loses their mother, any person, you could be adult, you could be in your 60s, 70s, a senior citizen, but once you've lost your mother or your father, that's a difficult thing. And kind of being out in the public eye and having to deal with fame and being this big celebrity without her mother, you could tell it really threw her off. And I don't think she was the best version of herself because she was still grieving. She didn't really have time to grieve her mother. She was out on the road. She was trying to, do right by the legacy that her mother saw in her. I think her mother was a hip hop artist. It talks about her mom being an artist, and she kind of poured all that into her daughter. So I think Megan did not want to sit down because she wanted to honor her mother's legacy. But in that, she also was unable to grieve, and she was unable to really do it in a healthy way. And I think that situation with Tory kind of got mixed up in there. And everyone was drinking and making bad decisions. And it's unfortunate that because of that, this young man's career and life have definitely been changed. Megan suffered having bullet fragments in her foot, and the friendship that she, kind of clung to after losing her mother was destroyed. She learned that the girl was not really her friend. There was a lot going on, but it was a good documentary. It's my favorite documentary of the year. And I hope that we'll see more documentaries like that, specifically because people assume that if you have money and fame, that your life should be amazing. And I think that these, when you get a chance to have an introspective look or peek behind the scenes into the fact that these are real people and they have real problems, and money does not fix anything. Money makes things more convenient, but it also can sometimes prohibit you from dealing with your real issues because you can just throw money at it. At the end of the day, it does not fix anything. And so I think it kind of humanized her, and hopefully, I know it made me a fan in a different way. It made me see her outside of just the lyrics. Megan had a low moment when she opened a rally for presidential candidate Kamala Harris this fall. A lot of people thought that was an inappropriate choice to open a presidential rally in Atlanta. I would agree. And I think there needs to be, more boundaries between what is for entertainment and what is for, information. And I understand it's great to mesh the two, but it just was not appropriate for us to be talking about, what to do with our country while we're twerking and showing off our body, yada, yada. Just a little contradictory there. But that's not Megan's fault. That fault rests firmly on the shoulders of the people that booked her for that rally, and they made a really poor decision. Anyway, moving on. I like the documentary, and I look forward to seeing positivity and more things from Megan in 2025. Moving on to some of the reality shows that we enjoy talking about here on Pop Culture Power. Married at First Sight is yet again becoming a season of disastrous pairings. I gotta tell you guys, I'm gonna be honest. I'm over it. Can I tell you guys, I'm over Married at First Sight. That was probably my favorite dating show when I first started this channel. You guys know we started with Ready to Love and Married at First Sight. Ready to Love was good for the drama, but Married at First Sight, I believe, actually was serving its audience. And I think that it was actually really about the possibility of marriage. And I realized that was all a lie. Married at First Sight over the seasons, it has become more and more toxic. And at this point, I don't even believe that they are attempting to make pairings. I think that they are just attempting to make drama, which usually ensures that they'll have a good audience and the numbers will be good. But the experts, I like Pastor Cal. I think Dr. Pepper is past her prime. And Dr. Pia, I don't feel like really resonates with the audience. I would have liked to see Devon Franklin take a bigger role, just because I think he's a charismatic person. Do I believe that he, has the keys to a successful marriage? Obviously not. But I do think he would have been a more positive influence on these couples, because what we're seeing is couples in turmoil, and they're just thrown out there without a life jacket. And these experts are no longer offering counsel when needed. At this season, Michelle and David are crashing and burning. And we've seen this for several seasons. I think it started for me with Paige and Chris. Like, if you're going to put people on a show and have them get married at first sight and then have them do this 6 to 8 week journey, you need to be there for them, when they start to crash and burn. Because I would assume that a lot of these couples, a lot of these singles come on this show and they leave with a lot more scars and emotional damage than they started with. And I believe that that's the case this season. All of them. It started off a little bit more promising than last season, and Denver was horrible. Not only did the couples not work, but they were basically trying to take each other out. Like, that's a whole different issue. Like, it's one thing to say that we're not compatible. It's another thing to try to destroy that person's character. And that's what we saw with Denver. It was a lot of character assassination and just strategic planning to assassinate people. It was just wild. And these were, I did not expect that from the Mile High City. We're in Chicago this season. I think most of the viewers are over it. It just that I don't know if it needs to have a shakeup, or if this reality model is just outdated, because people that really want to find love and are really hopeful and optimistic do not sign up for this show. Because we see people like Kichi or what has applied different season, has obviously had no intent of actually being realistic about finding love. He actually came on here for some TV time, and it has nothing to do with him really connecting. And I think that's more of the type of people that are attracted to this show at this point. So I'm over it. We're gonna head back to Ready to Love. Ready to Love returns in February, guys, and so I am excited. I'm sure you guys are excited, because again, this channel was kind of built on Ready to Love and the hype that around that show. So we look forward to interviewing the cast, to getting to know the cast. We're going to have more specials on specific things that happen in the show, because it's not really about the cast members. It's really more about the fact that people that are dating are experiencing the same thing. And we want to talk about these issues. So make sure that you're tuned in. That's why you need to make sure that you're subscribed, because Ready to Love returns the first week of February, and we are all on top of it. And so that is definitely going to be a highlight for Pop Culture Power and Dating Diaries, and probably Relationship Recap. It's probably all going to be pulling from Ready to Love. But Married at First Sight, I'm off. I'm no longer a fan. We'll probably be still talking about it, but they need to either get new experts or change up the process and the structure of the show. It's a wrap. I talked about Jamie Foxx. I think we did like a conversation about it. Jamie Foxx basically took on his narrative and talked about his mystery illness. That Cat Williams had clowned. It was a mystery illness because Jamie never really explained what triggered it. He did say that he had a brain bleed. I also will acknowledge it's not really our business. All we know that we're grateful and thankful that we still have a iconic talent, because Jamie is definitely that. But I like the fact that he gave honor to God. He talked about his relationship with his sister and his daughter. And I think that's a great cautionary tale to, men. like the people, men and women, like we need to be making sure that we have people in our lives that really love us for us, and all that hype and the people that like to hang out with you when things are popular are not the people that are going to be there. And so I'm sure Jamie has a harem of women that are around him, but when things got bad and he nearly lost his life, his sister and his two daughters were the ones that held him down. You know what I mean? And so obviously there was no woman around that he trusted with his life. And so I think that speaks volumes. Hopefully, he will make, I don't know, maybe he doesn't need to make better choices because he has two daughters and a sister. But it was interesting. I enjoyed hearing his testimony. It was good seeing him back out and feeling great. And I love the fact that he did give honor to God and said that he wanted to, be closer to God. It's very rare for people in Hollywood to acknowledge that and to speak positively about their relationship with God. So hearing that was great. Also, he did make some jokes about Diddy, which was interesting. And I didn't expect him to do that, but he did. I didn't expect him to, kind of distance himself from Diddy like that or make jokes about it, because we know that he's definitely been someone that's been at the Diddy parties. But yeah, he did. So that's interesting. So he obviously did not want to be lumped in with that, especially after having this second chance at life. So we'll look forward to seeing more from that. But hopefully his name will not be mentioned as this Diddy situation goes to trial. But speaking of celebrities that are not afraid to speak about their relationship with God, and I would be remiss if I allowed this year to go by without once again honoring Mr. Denzel Washington, who turned 70. That is just one of my favorite pictures. I do have a lot more, but I won't do that to you guys or my husband and post all the Denzel Washington pictures that I have. But what was I saying? Okay, Denzel became a minister. He was baptized right before his birthday, before his 70th birthday, and did take on the mantle of being a minister. And so he is still going to be doing several projects. We know he has a Broadway project that a friend of mine, Saptosa, and I are going to see. Excited about that. And then, of course, he's hinted that he would be a part of the cast for the upcoming Black Panther 3. That would be, I think that would be amazing, because for some of you may know the story, others may not. Chadwick Boseman actually was a mentee. Denzel and his wife, Pauletta, actually, helped Chadwick out when he was a young, hopeful actor. They mentored him. They actually provided him with a place to, with I believe, financial support at one point. And so that would be full circle for Denzel to be a part of. I believe Black Panther is a part of Chadwick's legacy. So it'll be great to see that. We know that Denzel also was supported. What is his name that was in Power? Omari Hardwick. He's also someone that said Denzel was quietly. And the thing about Denzel is he does these things and he doesn't talk about them. Later, the person, Chadwick Boseman, told that story. Denzel is just a great person and great influence. And for him to do that, he recently did an interview with People Magazine where he said that, a lot of people in Hollywood do not feel comfortable talking about God and do not feel that's not something that is embraced. But he is very clear about, from whence his help cometh, and that he will always be that. And we know that Denzel has stood up for, he's just been a person that has not compromised, in Hollywood. And last but not least, Gladiator 2 is his highest grossing movie ever. And if you saw Gladiator, then you know that even though it was an amazing cast, Denzel definitely, was a big part of the success of that movie. Moving on to Porsha Williams never being honest about her marriage to Simon Guobadia. Porsha and Simon's divorce has been, first of all, Porsha and Simon's hooking up was a trending topic right after 2020, and after they hooked up. and she hooked up with him while he was still married to Fallon, and was on the show. And then, she had her posts with Simon and Dennis, and then she had Porsha's Family Matters, which crashed and burned, and she was away from the Housewives. She was traveling in Nigeria. She was getting married 3 times, with each ceremony more fabulous than the next. And now the divorce. So each year we go viral with either the hookup, the courtship, the marriage, now the divorce. Simon has accused Porsha of sending goons after him. Porsha has accused Simon of erectile dysfunction. Simon has accused Porsha of cheating and attempting to take advantage of his finances. And Porsha has accused Simon of being a fraud and being an illegitimate citizen of the United States. And it goes on and on and on. We know that 2025 is going to be filled with more accusations because it will be the return of Real Housewives of Atlanta. So with Real Housewives coming back, Porsha will be back on primetime TV. And that means that if we know anything about this couple, Porsha is petty, but most guys are not going to go back and forth for her. Simon has time. I don't know if it's because, he's on Nigerian time, and which gives him a little extra hours, American hours, but he has time. He has time to go back and forth with Porsha on social media. He gets in his stories, he shares information, and they go back and forth. So with her being on primetime Sunday nights, Simon's going to be probably hitting us on Monday morning with his rebuttal to whatever he sees on the show. Also, we know that Real Housewives of Atlanta has been under a lot of scrutiny because, the cast, the ratings weren't doing great. They did a shakeup of the cast. They got 2 new members. I don't know how that's going to work out. Kenya Moore was not a part of the entire season, which could be a problem. But in any case, let me know what you guys think. Are you excited about Real Housewives coming back? Are you over it? I'm kind of I'm reserving my opinion until we see the first couple of episodes. I think a lot of these reality shows, are not, they haven't changed with the time. I think time is different. And I think when you're talking about a show that's a franchise that's over 20 years old, it just it may no longer fit the landscape of what is popular, and what's going to hit. I think some of the shows are outdated as far as like the setup. I think Married at First Sight is an example of that. I don't think it's relevant to this. I think shows that are like Ready to Love are a little bit more in tune with what's, happening. Yeah. But somehow The Bachelor remains consistent. I don't know, but I don't know that Real Housewives is still the lick that it was, when it first premiered. I'd be interested to see what the numbers are and if they're consistently high. And if this new generation is really interested in what, over the top, slightly seasoned women are doing. I mean, I don't know. We will see. Speaking of slightly seasoned women, Love and Marriage Huntsville. It's time for a recast. We are actually renaming Love and Marriage Huntsville because it's not about love or marriage. It's more about crime and betrayal. Crime and betrayal Huntsville. I think we had like a poll going for what the new name is going to be, because we have, first of all, numerous people cheating on their spouse. Melanie and Martell's marital breakdown set the tone for the show to be committed to relationship dysfunction. And it has never rebounded from that. I think people at this point are waiting on the breakdown of Letitia and Marceau Scott's marriage. Martell is working overtime at this point to destroy that marriage. I don't understand why, but he seems committed and locked in. He's been releasing screenshots on his story of alleged man that Letitia supposedly had an indiscretion with while she was married to Marceau, and or maybe before, but that Marceau doesn't know about. But I mean, it's a little bit much when you think about this fact that Martell was cheating on his wife and got a woman pregnant. The pregnant woman has now become a part of his social media story. They tried to he and his mistress attempted to do a tell-all with one of Marceau's mistresses. I mean, I've never seen anything like that. Mistress against mistress, or mistress teaming up with mistress to bring down a married man on live. It was interesting. But in that, Martell's mistress, which I guess she's not a mistress anymore, but she attempted to show how she was a more respectful mistress because they went on dates. Yeah, it was a lot. It was a lot to unpack. Tune in Friday for us to talk about all that. But when you think about Love and Marriage Huntsville, we have half the show has been arrested. Now, they're mugshots. They haven't done time. But starting with Letitia's cousin, Kiki, that passed away, God rest the dead. She was on Crime Stoppers. Maurice has a DUI arrest. From what I hear, that arrest has been thrown out. Basically, Destiny was arrested for fraud, check fraud. Not sure what happened with that. And then Martell was arrested for terroristic threats, which we know was related to the revenge horn. It's just a little much, and I think the audience likes messiness, but it's just, there's nothing else holding it down. Like, Trish, the new character, is married, but living with someone else, but messed around with Martell. Like, it's not Love and Marriage. There's nothing and about it. It's just crime, mugshots, cheaters in Huntsville, because at this point, everybody is cheating on everybody. We don't know if Marceau is cheating, but in trying to out Marceau, Maurice caught a stray. It's exhausting. I haven't even gotten to the fact that Destiny's former producer married her ex-boyfriend, and then he went back to jail. So yeah, I don't know if Love and Marriage is the right term for that show, but so we'll be talking about it in 2025. We know the reunion is probably going to be explosive. Kudos to Carlos King. Yeah, kudos to Carlos. He continues to have a show that is probably more toxic than any other show on television. And what better place to house it than the O Network? I don't think Oprah would approve. This is very different than Super Soul Sunday. I used to watch Super Soul Sunday because I love the fact that Oprah was trying to give people therapy, free therapy. It was great, thought-provoking, substantial conversations. I actually went on Fix My Life, thought-provoking and positive, even though there was drama, but the point was I don't know if this is really fitting the schematics of OWN at this point. But, as long as the viewers tune in, hey, we're on this ride. But it's definitely not what the Oprah Winfrey Network, I believe, started to be. I don't know if anyone still watches Basketball Wives. I did say that I think this friendship and the show should be over. Basketball Wives stars Evelyn Lozada and Jennifer Williams need to give up on their friendship for good. Jennifer, I don't, I, Jennifer got married, and marriages now are used for popularity, right? If you want to be popping, then you find someone, you guys get married, and you have a very picturesque, Instagram friendly wedding. And you get lots of likes on your dress, and and then you get divorced a little while later, and then you can throw mud, and it can be, the mudslinging can actually get you more hype and more likes and more, fame. So Jennifer Williams got married to a fella that was scamming people out of their money. Um, Someone that had also been arrested for domestic violence. And Evelyn, who has also been a part of domestic violence in her past, um, basically shaded Jennifer. And they've shaded each other. But my point is, this show is no longer relevant. Basketball Wives needs to quit. First of all, these women were not wives. And at this point, I don't even think there's hype behind, you know, women married to athletes. At this point, everyone is on social media creating their own narrative. And I don't think there's this mystique and, appeal to women that date athletes. I think that you could be like a popular chick on Instagram with a great BBL and be just as popular. You don't even need the basketball player. Like it's not necessary. Just like add water, mix and add water. Like add water and mix. You don't need the mix. You don't need to add the basketball player to your mix to be popping. You just have to have a really great BBL, be willing to show yourself, and be full of drama. So I think, Basketball Wives came out in the early 2000s. Time has moved forward, and I don't think it's even relevant anymore. I know Jennifer and Evelyn's friendship is not, and I'm not going to talk about it anymore. That was the last article I'm doing on that. It's just not even important anymore. Evelyn will find another athlete. Jennifer probably will too, because this wedding is probably going to be over in 5, 4, 3, 2. And but I think that reality blueprint is no longer relevant. So I don't expect it to be coming back. And if so, who's watching? Who's going to watch that? A bunch of women that, slept with athletes arguing. Could just get some regular girls with some good BBLs to argue. We'll be okay. Yeah. So I that was it. I think that 2024 was interesting. It was definitely a difficult year. I said that Cat Williams kicked us off. I'm hoping that he will not kick us off again for 2025. You can let me know what you think. If he sits down with Shannon Sharp, God help us. God help us. God help us. God help us. Anyway, I appreciate you guys as always. As I started this out by saying, I love the family here. We look forward to doing even more and having more conversations where we can laugh, talk, and, leave each other with a little encouragement, right? So with that being said, from my heart to yours, I love you all for watching. I hope that you are doing something worthwhile that is going to serve you well in 2025 tonight. I will give one last shameless plug for anyone that is not going to be out in the streets tonight. I would encourage you to watch Dick Clark's Rockin' New Year's Eve. You guys know my girls, Chili and T-Boz, are going to be performing. And let me tell you, I've seen the performance. It's amazing. It's definitely going to be one of the best TLC performances that you have seen. So check out TLC tonight on Dick Clark's Rockin' New Year's Eve. Let me know your thoughts. Let me know what you thought about their performance. Also, Alanis Morissette. I'm a big Alanis Morissette fan. She's going to be performing. It's going to be good. My husband and I are staying in tonight. We are going to connect with friends tomorrow, but we're going to stay in tonight. So I'll be watching and wishing him a happy new year. We're going to bring in the new year with our family and at home, and then, spend some time with friends tomorrow. But I will be checking in with you guys tomorrow for a dating diary. So New Year's Eve day, you can hang out with Scorpio, Mo, and I for dating diaries, New Year's Day edition. So I will see you guys then. As always, thank you for watching. Make sure that you're subscribed. And from me to you a little bit early, Happy New Year. This has been Christal, Pop Culture Power. See you guys in 2025.